What's up, guys? We're back with the mini bike, and today we're going to go ahead and do the flywheel and valve springs, and I think that's all I ordered for now. And we're gonna see if that helps the top speed, if the RPMs are able to rev out like I wanted to. I just opened up a tripod, so I don't know where my other one went, but it's mounted on the phone right now, so we're able to use a tripod again. So I'm gonna set it up here for a second. I got some grinding compounds so we could lap in the, what's it called, the flywheel to the crank. Open up this flywheel. So it came with the 22-pound valve springs and the flywheel. This is just a cast aluminum flywheel. It's not a billet, it's nothing fancy, just need it for safety. I'm not really doing like a ridiculous speed build on this bike. Well, maybe it'll change, maybe it won't. Okay, came with a new spark plug, that's cool. Got 100 of those now. And here's the flywheel. And I believe, well, I hope it better have. It said it came with a timing key to advance the timing. Let's open this. It's definitely not in here anywhere. Check the valve spring down. And valve spring. Yeah, it came with some valves too. Okay, so this is a problem. It doesn't have a timing key. And you need to advance the timing by like 12 degrees, I think, with these particular flywheel kits. So this is going to be a bust, I think, because we can't really install it. I mean, we can, but the timing is going to be way off. Yep, definitely not in the boxes. So because we don't have the Woodruff key needed to install the flywheel, which I'm really upset about because it said it came with it, we're gonna hold off on putting the flywheel on for this video, I guess, and we'll just do the valve springs. Don't need the valves, just the springs. Yeah, those suckers are way more. Okay. Dang it, man. I'm thoroughly upset. The Woodruff key didn't come with it. Okay. Anyway, I guess no sense of crying over it. Give me a sec here, and I'm going to get this guy set up on a stand. I think something like that will work, maybe. Let me readjust for here a little further back, actually. Okay, so I think that'll do her. Let me go ahead and take off this valve cover. There's 4 8mm bolts on it. This thing's about to catch fire on us. goes on there pretty tight. Alright, gently peel off the gasket so we can reuse it. Okay. The difficult part with doing valves while the motor's still on the bike is you don't want to drop anything in the engine. So usually I would tuck like a paper towel or something in the holes here. I think I'm gonna end up pissing myself off with the exhaust, but we'll see. I don't want to take it off. I really don't. Crack this spark plug loose. Wasn't on there too tight. Geez, how long is the spark plug? Alright. Pretty clean looking spark plug. Burning pretty clean. I don't know if you remember what I said, but it is running a little rich, or a little lean, I'm sorry. It's got some backfiring. I haven't adjusted any of that yet. I plan to. I don't remember the size of these bolts at the top of my head. Okay, so the locking nut is a 10. Oh, you see? There I go. Already dropping stuff. And retaining nut, I believe, is a 14. Yeah, so a 14 for the retaining nut, 10 for the locking nut. We're going to take the rocker off. So I'm going to just keep them together. So we're picked him out. I was freaking lucky. I just went in there and grabbed it and it hooked on the nut. So this is the downside of doing this. Well, the motor's still on the bike. It can be kind of tricky. So get my magnet. You got some lash caps here. So you got a lash cap. Sits over your valve. I'm just putting stuff on the seat. And then, well, that was super easy. I barely pushed it to the side and it popped right out. So these valves, these springs anyway, super weak. Where did the seat go? Okay, so you could see it's got this hole. I forgot the name for it, but it's basically bigger on one side than the other. You compress the spring and it pushes right around the valve itself. Now, the one thing you want to do is bring your engine to top dead center real quick, and that's going to push your valves up if you do what I did and forgot to put the string in there. So what we're gonna do, or what we're gonna attempt to do, so I got some string, some hemp string, I'm gonna go ahead and, you can use rope, string, whatever. You shove it right down the spark plug hole. Let's see if we can feel where the piston is. We're gonna shove it down the spark plug hole. You wanna do this when the piston's down low. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna compress the string against the piston, which then goes against the valves. I should have did this before taking off the lock retaining nut rocker. Before taking the valve apart, this should be done first. So learn from my mistakes. I'm just gonna put a bunch of string in there till I can't put it anymore. So I'm gonna fill that chamber up. They actually sell a tool that you can purchase that hooks up to an air compressor, and it basically goes into the spark plug and it compresses air into the cylinder, thus pushing the valves up and holding them in place. And I was gonna actually purchase and order that tool, but I completely forgot about it. So for now, we're doing the old string trick, and this works. I've done valves like this without any issues before. A little thicker, if you have a thicker rope, it's better. But this is all I got, so that's what we're working with. I should get enough in there to make it work, we'll see. Just pack as much as you can. It's a little bit time consuming. I mean, doing it with the motor in the bike is definitely not ideal, or an ideal situation for anybody. But I really don't want to take the chain out and take the whole drive shaft off, unbolt the engine just to do some valves. So we're not. Okay. So I got all the rope I have and I got it in there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pull the engine up. So right there, it's just kind of holding the valves in place. All right, now we can work on valve number 2. I live in a very active off-road neighborhood. There's a lot of trails behind me. There's actually sand dunes about 5 minutes up the road from me. So, and there's a gas station right here behind my house. So everybody comes to fill up before they hit the dunes or the trails. I'll take this on the trails. I actually ordered a GoPro. Don't tell the wife, because I don't know what I did with my other one. When I stopped making videos, I don't know if I gave it to someone or sold it or got rid of it. So while we're doing this, the Amazon truck may or may not pull up, and we may or may not have a GoPro Hero 10 coming today. Okay, I don't know if you're getting this. Let me see. My fat fingers are in the way. So, retaining nut comes out. Rocker comes out. Okay. Boom. And you can only put these in one way. When we put them back together, I'll show you this little indent. It goes over the rocker arm, or over the push rod, I mean. So, we got the push rods out. Okay. So, let me see if I can get this on camera. You get that little oblong, that's what it is, oblong hole, whatever. Push down, pull over, and it pops right out. This method with the hole, let's see if it focuses, come on. So this little elongated hole sits over the valve, and you gotta push down and over to get the valve into the big spot, and then it'll pop right out. And let me get the other valve springs and I'll show you. Look at the difference in size. Come on, camera doesn't want to focus. It's super tight compared to, I can squeeze these pretty easily. So there's a couple methods people use to putting these on. I'm actually gonna try one right now and we'll see how it works. So I've seen this method done before, and it's called the zip tie method. I don't know. So basically with the zip tie method, you put some zip ties around and it compresses the spring and it allows you to put the cap back on easily. So we're gonna try that real quick. This could be a complete fail. It might not work, it might. I'm up for new ideas. Because trying to put the caps back over with the spring in place, especially in the engine, it's very difficult. So we're threading through a couple of zip ties. And going to pull them nice and tight. Okay, let's see what that's. Okay, so I got some zip ties on it, and the spring is compressed. I don't know if this is gonna work. It's like so, but we're gonna give it a shot. Okay. Oh, goes in, and it kind of, the zip ties kind of help hold that down there. Okay. So, can you see that? Yeah, that works. So strings holding up the valve in the engine block, zip ties compressing the spring. Now let's see how easy it is, because this is always the hard part when doing valve springs, is getting these guys back on. On this engine, only one side has a lash cap, which is the exhaust side. On the Predator 212s, they're on the non-Hemi ones, they're pretty much like this, but the lash caps are, so if you see this lash cap, it's just like a, literally a cap. On the Predators, at least what I've noticed on some of them, they have a two-part cap that retains in there, and they kind of go in at an angle. I'll attach a picture so you can see. Those ones I highly recommend if you're gonna do valve springs with the Predator. Put some paper towels in there, or just take it out the engine completely, because you will lose those little seats, those little lash caps, I guess is what they are. You will lose them, and they're small enough to fall into the ports of the engine. You're gonna take the whole engine apart just to get them out. So try shoving paper towels in there if you're gonna do it with those little lash caps, or just take out the engine. Still put paper towels in. So I think this method's gonna work just fine, but our problem here is I don't know if I can get in there to cut it. Let me see. That or that. That works. So okay. See if I can get the other side. So I was able to cut the zip tie off pretty easily. That works, but now I need to get the rest of it out. There we go, she's out. New valve springs in. So I don't know if the camera got that very well, but it's in. Come on, give me a big focus. Why don't you just try push it on? Let's try and let's see. It's very difficult when the valve spring or the valve doesn't have it's not fully seated because of the, so do you see how much the spring sits up? You have to compress that with your fingers, plus try and get this in. So let's try it. It's harder with the engine in. And because my string isn't the best, it's not, whenever I'm going to push down on this, the valve wants to push back into the engine block because it's not, there we go, I got it. It's not being pushed on enough. So you can see I just did it both ways. First one I did with the zip ties here. This one I just pushed down and in. So it can be done both ways. This is pretty easy with the zip ties. If you're having trouble, I recommend doing it with the zip ties for sure. If you have the other style valve caps where they're two parts and they're tapered down and then they kind of lock in on each end. So if you have those two, they are a pain in the ass to try and push the spring in, get those two things, you know, those two valves lined in, or those two caps, because they're tapered, and you got to put them in through the hole of the cap perfectly. So now we can go ahead and take the string out. Go ahead and pull some pressure off the crank. So once the string was in there, all I did, I don't know if I mentioned, is you pull up on the pull starter. That takes the piston up a little bit, compressing the string. So now, new heavyweight valve springs are in. Let's go ahead and drop the rocker back in. Like so. And we'll get this rocker in, down into the hole. There's no right or wrong way on these rockers. You just want to make sure they seat down in. So you'll feel it down here. Not the rocker. I keep saying rockers, the push rods. So inside the lifters have a hole that are against the timing cam, against the camshaft itself. So the lobes hold the lifters in place, the cam lobes, and there's a little hole on top of the lifter way down in here, and that other side of the indentation sits into the hole of the lifter. And then so you just want to make sure that, just kind of feel it out when you're pushing the push rod back in, it's sitting into the lifter. And keep these in order if you can. I just kept them on how I took them off. So again, they only go on one way. The indentation goes down towards the push rod, just like so. On this one, the intake side did not have a lash cap. If you're not sure which side is which, intake is the side of where it's coming in. Exhaust side is the exhaust side of the engine. Intake, exhaust. It's pretty simple. So we're just gonna hand tighten that down with our fingers, and then put the lock nut on. Okay. And now let's get the other one in. Okay, so spec on them, it says in the manual between 0.3 and 0.5. I think we're gonna go ahead and just call it 0.5 on both for now. So let me grab my feeler gauge. So I'm gonna run it at 0.06. You can see it there. There it is. So when you set your valve lash, what you want to do is make sure the piston is at top dead center. And the easiest way to do that is, see how I stuck this in it's a screwdriver, my pick. Just stuck it in the hole of the spark plug, and you're gonna pull up. And as you pull up on the pull starter, it starts to rise up like so. And then when the piston goes back, so once it rises up and you can feel the piston way up top, that means you're at top dead center. If you keep pulling it, it's gonna go back down like so. So now you're down there. You want to always set your valve lash on the piston with the piston top dead center. So we're gonna pull it up. Let's get the piston back to the top dead center. Getting it using the screwdriver method. Okay. And we're there. So piston's at the top. You want to get it to the, keep pulling to your screwdriver to where it hits the very top, and the piston just wants to give to where it goes back down, if that makes sense. So you're pulling up, piston's rotating, goes to the top. Right before it goes back down, that's where you want to stop. You want it to be at the very top of its stroke. So we're at top dead center now. If you try to set your valve lash and you're not at top dead center, and you're, for some reason, you set it with the piston down at the bottom of the stroke, then you're gonna probably run into an issue where you can't pull it. It's gonna be extremely difficult to pull. That can also be affected by how you set your valve lash as well. But I have my feeler gauge set to 0.06. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in there. So it's too tight, so we're gonna crack this loose a little bit. loosen up. I'm going to loosen up the retaining nut. So you basically want the feeler gauge to run through snug like so. I don't know if you're able to get that with my hand in the way, but I'm able to move it back and forth, but it has some retention on it. It's not tight, but it's just tight enough. This part can be very difficult because you're gonna go ahead and hold the retaining nut in place and then try and lock down the lock nut, and theoretically that should be it. You should be done. But in my experience when doing this, when you go and tighten down the lock nut, it, for some reason, you see, I can't pull it out. It likes to do it tight. So this is a game of patience. Don't get too stressed out. It happens to everybody. So break it loose again, then you're gonna back off again. Make sure your clearance is where you want it. Again, sometimes you want to go a little looser than what you want it. That way, when you tighten up your lock nut, that adjustment's there. Does that make sense? So hold it in place again, and then we're gonna get our 10mm on top. Tighten that guy down, and I'm gonna check it again. So that's way too loose, so I backed it out probably too much before locking it down. So again, this is just it's a game of patience on this when you're doing this one, because I've stressed myself out doing this. So get it to where you want it, which is there. That's too tight. I think the method I've learned though is to always start it with it being a little looser than what you want it to be. And again, way too tight. The feeler gauge just needs to barely move in there. This part is a pain in the ass. If you have a better way of doing it, please let me know. I'm not gonna edit or cut this part out. I just want you to see the time it takes. Some guys will just edit this part out and they say, oh, no, now you're set. But you can see how, look at, I'm struggling here. I know what I'm doing, but I'm struggling to get it set perfect because it's a pain in the ass. No matter how still you hold your retaining nut, even when you tighten down the lock nut, it still messes with it. I think that's good there. Well, damn it. That's still a little loose. So I gotta turn it just a tad more. So again, here we go. And this is just the first one. Perfect. So you want it to just slide in between the valve and the rocker with slightly, you can hear it scraping it when you pull it back. Just want a little bit of retention. But look at how, I mean, it took me what, 5-6 tries just to get the one locked in. So now we're gonna do the other one. Break the nut. One thing I will say, guys, when you're doing the upgraded valve springs here, removing the governor, definitely go with upgraded internals and the upgraded flywheel. I'm definitely going to be putting a billet or some type of rod to handle the additional RPM. I am putting the flywheel, as you've seen. We just don't have the Woodruff key, so I'm gonna have to order that up. Since I'm ordering the Woodruff key, I'll probably just order the upgraded rod. It's just for safety. I mean, there's two things. If you have so much RPM, the stock rod's probably going to have a catastrophic failure. Probably not. I don't know what the odds are on it, but I've had them never blow up with stock internals. But that's also the Predators. The Colemans are a little bit different, I think. The Predators, I've ran to probably 8,000-9,000 RPM on stock internals. And maybe I just gotten lucky, maybe I haven't. But I highly recommend you upgrade the rod and upgrade the flywheel if you are doing a governor removal. That's just for safety. Right now I'm not running an upgraded internal, which I will, and you've seen the flywheel, so it's in the process. But for now, I just want to put the valve springs in to see if I can get the RPMs to rev out. And maybe I'll blow the engine up, who knows? Maybe I'll blow my leg out before I put the flywheel in. Those are the risks I'm willing to take for me, so don't try this at home. But I will be putting in upgraded internals. This is just a temporary thing. Okay, so I'm gonna back that out to where we want it once again. So once I got it to where I want it, once again, I'm gonna loosen it up about 1/4 of a turn at a time and try that. Maybe not even 1/4 of a turn, just like 1/8 of a turn. Put that on, hand tighten up that lock nut, and then we're gonna get it nice and tight. Let's see, let's try this. Too tight. First try is too tight. Oh, maybe not. No, that's actually where I want it. Pull it, put it in. It's got some nice retention. So I think we're good for now. Let's try and start it and see. Just making sure my lock nuts are tight. And we'll double check. I just did 0.06 on both, on the exhaust and on the intake valve. If you don't like it, I don't care. Where is? So I just want to make sure it starts up before I put it together. Spark plug. Let's run it. Choke on. Gas. That's too much adjustment. So I need to fix that. It shouldn't be this hard to pull it, and it shouldn't have that kickback. So that's not right. Okay. So we're gonna check these adjustments again. Okay, looking at the specs, maybe I need to go a little lower. So I did it to 0.6, but I'm gonna go ahead and go down. Tried 0.4 maybe? Let's see what 0.4 does. See, a 0.4 gives us that adjustment we want, because right now it still has pullback. So has kickback. I don't like it. Once again, so we're like 30 minutes deep of just trying to get the valve lash set. And you can see it's a pain in the ass. Extremely tight. Crack it loose. Go back a little. Tighten it up. Okay, I think we're good on 0.4 on that one. Perfect. Now we're gonna do the same thing. Okay, let's get our filler gauge in there. Oh man, I just wasted all that time. You guys realize what I did? I set the first one without having the engine on top dead center. I gotta redo the first one. All right, let's do this again. Says 0.3 to 0.5. I went up 1 because I always go up 1. But if it's 0.3, then let's try 0.4. It's still going up 1. There it is. Was the winner. Now I can just very easily pull it. Okay, 0.4 guys. Coleman b200. Get that on there. 0.04. I did that for both the exhaust and the intake. Okay. Now, I'm gonna go ahead, relocate you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and put the valve cover back on, clean her up, and we're gonna take a ride. Well, 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 what do you know? I was going to clean up and, you know, put everything away, and that extra spark plug that I said I never need, that I threw over there earlier, look what was hiding in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do it this video. Throw the flywheel on. Also, I looked up the model of flywheel I bought. It does say it's a billet flywheel, but reading through the installation instructions of it, it states that it has a built-in 8-degree timing, so it advances to 32 degrees using the stock Woodruff key. I'm gonna put this one in that it came with anyway, instead of using the stock one, so long as I can get the stock one out with no problem. But we're gonna go ahead and set this up, start taking this apart. Okay. 2, 3, 4 bolts, 8mm. Shroud cover comes off. I think that's what it's called, shroud cover, fan cover, pull start cover, whatever. Okay. Now, I think we may have an issue here with the coil. I don't think the lighting coil is gonna work with the new flywheel. That might be a problem. All right, let's see what we got here. I don't know what size this is. 21. It's 21 for the crank gear, or the crank socket. Easy enough. Cover comes off. Let's set that to the side. Okay. The easiest way I've found to get the flywheels off is get the bolt, thread it on a little bit so you don't damage your threads or anything, like so. Get something behind it to kind of pry. Let's see here. Kind of pry out with it, and then just kind of smack it here on the crank. Boom. And she breaks loose. Doesn't take a whole lot of force either to get it off. We can just back that out, pull her off. So these are the coils that I'm talking about. The aftermarket flywheel doesn't have magnets inside of it, so we are going to lose our headlight, which it kind of stinks, you know, but what I can do is I'm gonna end up wiring these up to like a Milwaukee battery and plug them in up here. It's just safer this way though. Looks like 8mm on the coils as well. Okay. Looks like we're gonna have to plug this shield here. Okay. For now, I'm just gonna put them back here until we're done. I'll figure out what to do with them later. Really don't think this is needed much anymore. This little protector. I don't even remember how it was on. I think, is it over here? What the heck? I just took it off and I don't want to review the video. That's weird. That's suspicious. Okay, so what I'm noticing is the coil studs just kind of broke off. They broke off in there. When I was looking at him, I took the bolts, I was like, what the heck? Why are some longer? Well, it's because they snapped off. Yeah. I didn't even have that much impact torque on them either, but I guess if you're planning on doing this with an impact, it's probably not the best idea. Now, obviously if they're that tight in there, they're not coming out anytime soon. I think I'll be okay to just leave them in there. Let's see if this goes on and moves. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna hit them. I think we're gonna be okay. Okay. So we're just gonna leave those in there. Let them keep the holes plugged, I guess. Clean off. This a little bit. Grab myself a little punch and see if I can't okay, punch that key right out. We're gonna go ahead and put some lapping compound here. Probably put too much, whatever. Just kind of put it around here. And then we're going to get the flywheel, put it on there, and So you got nice and ground down. Oh yeah, you could definitely see what it did. Spray some. I'm just spraying WD-40 on her. Clean her up. Keep it lubricated still. Okay, that's done. Now let's get the stupid key that was in here hiding. This is the new one. This is the stock one. And you can see it has pretty identical. So we're gonna just go ahead and put the new one back in. Give it some love taps. Just kind of get it to seat. There's some compound in the hole. Okay. And then we're gonna line up our new flywheel with the key. Like so. And then that guy. All right, this thing says 20 to 25 foot-pounds of torque. I didn't think this one through. I don't want to. It's only 25 foot-pounds, so I could probably just wedge this here for now. All right, got her all torqued down. Now we can so I think the coil should still be within spec. The spark. We'll put it on, see if it starts up, see what we got. If it's not in spec, then you're gonna have to adjust the ignition coil here using the feeler gauge, and you set them to 0.40, so 0.40. I guess I could just grab my feeler gauge and check. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, so let me go ahead and put this back on. I'm going to put my impact to the lowest possible setting. I don't need a lot of torque on these. Okay. We're good. Let's see if it starts up now. Starts up, so ignition coil is good. All right, so now flywheel's on. So I'm still ordering the connecting rod, the billet rod, but now we need to figure out what to do with the lighting coils. I don't really want to cut them out completely in case I want to use them or something in the future for something, another project or something, who knows. I think what I'm going to do is cut them in the mid, that way I can easily splice wires in later if I need to. Like that. Okay, so I got the lighting coils out. We got coil, flywheel, shroud. I think we're good to go. Now what I'm gonna do later is take the lighting, which are the two yellows here that we just cut out. I'm gonna leave them here for now, just kind of propped up here. I'm gonna take the wiring, the loom here, run it up in to the top behind the cover and put a Milwaukee adapter for like a battery. I'm doing Milwaukee because that's what I have, but you can do like a DeWalt, whatever floats your boat. Alright, I mean, it feels like it starts up pretty easy too. Easier anyway. So let me go ahead and get that up. Let's get some zoom out here. Take it off the motorcycle stand. It's not super heavy, but 33.3 was the last one I did, but I actually got it to 34, so let's see what we can do. Alright guys, I think that's going to be it for now. The GoPro ended up dying mid-ride, so what you see is what you got. And then my speedometer app decided to take a crap, so with that said, I'm not sure exactly what the top speed was because my speedometer app wasn't working anymore. And it got really cold. I started doing this later on. This is the next day from when the original video was filmed, and it got really cold and it got dark, so I don't want to go out again tonight. I'll do it again tomorrow, and we'll get a top speed run at that point and see how it looks. And I think we'll I think at that point we should be having the torque converter. It should be here, so we can make a torque converter video, and then we'll do a top speed run before and then a top speed run after the torque converter. But I'm telling you now, this thing felt incredibly fast compared to the last run of 34 miles an hour. And keep in mind, I am 270, 280. I'm a big boy, and for me to even get up to 40, 50 on one of these things is pretty cool. And let's be honest, 40 to 50 is perfectly fine for cruising on one of these. So I mean, obviously I want to go faster, and we're gonna keep going, but for now, it definitely feels like it's faster. The RPMs rev out. They don't want to stop revving out like they did prior before the valve springs. And the straightaway that I have, it's kind of sketchy to take it up higher. So I'll go on a different straightaway where I can really open her up, and then we'll do a 0 to 30 and check the top speed on it after that on the next video. Again, I just didn't want to go out and do it right now because it's freaking cold outside. But until then, guys, Thanks for watching.